Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Jonah Wish, and I'm a program director here at the National Cybersecurity Center in Colorado Springs. We run a program called the Colorado Cyber Resource Center that aims to provide cybersecurity resources at no cost to local governments and small to medium-sized businesses across the state. And one component of that is our Morning Byte of Cyber webinar series, which you're all here for today. We'll be recording this webinar and you'll be able to find it at colorado-crc.com. In addition, we'll share the recording and the presenter's slides via email with all who attend after today's webinar. If you have any questions, please enter those into the chat whenever during the presentation, and we'll address them as they come in. And for our guest today, we have Rodney Gillette, CEO of Firma IT Solutions based here in Colorado Springs. He's a certified ethical hacker, an Air Force veteran, and he sure does have all the answers when it comes to cybersecurity. Rodney's here to talk about recognizing the signs and symptoms of malware and intrusion, something that's definitely relevant to both technical staff and end users within your organization. So with that, Rodney, I will pass it off to you.
Outstanding. This is my real face. Good morning, everybody. As you heard, my name is Rodney Gillette. I am a certified ethical hacker. Yes, that is a real thing. Took an exam that cost about $900 to take, and I was highly motivated to pass it the first time, and I did. So all those evil things that you see on the news, you hear about or read in the paper, about people causing cyber attacks and doing bad things. I know how to do those things, but I use my knowledge to help save people and not hurt them. That's where the ethical hacker piece comes in. I'm a certified network defense architect. That means I know how to build networks that are resilient to cyber attacks. I'm a certified chief information security officer. That means I know how to speak at a C-suite executive level in an organization to bake cybersecurity into your organization from the top all the way down to the bottom. And I'm the CEO of Firma IT Solutions, where I manage IT and cybersecurity service provider for private industry businesses, your accountants, your lawyers, doctors, and all those kind of folks. And I welcome you here today. Thank you, NCC, for giving me the opportunity to drop some knowledge for the people who really need it. We're going to be talking about recognizing the signs of malware and intrusions. And let's get started here. Bring up my slides. All right, there we go. So the threat, ransomware, it's the elephant in the room. It's extortion. They lock up all your data and they take it and they make you pay money to get it back. And you might get it back. And if you pay, you can guarantee that they'll probably come after you again. So the biggest thing you can do is just not get hit with ransomware in the first place. There's a lot of ways to keep yourself from getting hit with that. We'll talk about that. Data loss. So ransomware is a data loss event. They encrypt all your files so you can't use them anymore. If you have a backup server on the same network that the ransomware hit, it's going to lock all that up as well. The best thing you can do is have backups that are off-site. We'll talk about that in a minute. 60% of small businesses go out of business within 6 months of a cyber attack. Why does that happen, Rodney? Because it hurts. It's not just the ransomware that you can't pay. Depending on your industry, you may have regulatory authorities. If you're a school, you've got FERPA. If you're a medical practice, you've got HIPAA. If you're taking credit cards, you got PCI DSS. These are all regulatory authorities that govern how you are supposed to conduct business in your particular industry. They have fines associated to it if it is found out that you were negligent in protecting people's personal information. HIPAA, for example, $50,000 per record. So if you've been in business for a while and you have 1,000 records on patients and they all get compromised, I mean, you do the math, it's a lot of money. It'll probably put you out of business. Your employees are a threat. Phishing, when they get the emails or they get the phone calls from Microsoft, the emails they get, the text messages they get, the social engineering and evil apps. So let's just go ahead and talk about the evil apps for a second. There's this new thing on social media called the new profile pic. And it kind of takes your face and turns it into like a work of art. So cute, so bright and shiny. It's the awesome thing. Everybody's doing it. So let's all do it together. What you didn't realize is that the organization behind it is suspect, Russian software development company. uh, we're not in good terms with Russia right now, and they have been hacking and causing cyber attacks for a long time. And when you think about this particular type of attack, where they take your facial recognition data and use it, and you unlock other aspects of your phone in order to be able to get this cute picture, it's dangerous, and you shouldn't do it. Just because it's bright and shiny doesn't mean it's a good thing to do, especially if everybody's doing it. So if you have somebody that has done this Facebook, like the facial app or whatever, the Colorado Springs Business Journal put out an article last week where they quoted me talking about this particular incident. I will put it in the chat. I'll share it with the NCC so all of you can have access to it, but it's serious business. And I have people tell me, well, Rodney, the government already has my stuff anyway, so why, I'm not worried about it. Like, you should be worried about it. One, because it's not the government you want having your stuff, okay? And two, it's not always about you. Giving somebody access to your Facebook page gives somebody access to all your friends list. So now they're gonna go and attack all those people as you. If you have a weak password and no two-factor authentication, they've really got a handle on you. So there's a lot more to the threat than you thinking it's just all about you. It's not always about you. For a lot of people's businesses, you're just one click away from losing your business. With this facial recognition app that just came out, probably a couple of years ago in 2019, there was another app that a Russian company created called, dang it, what was it called? Whatever it did, it made your face get older, so you can see yourself like 50 years older. Same app, same facial recognition technology. They just repackaged it and sold it again, and everybody forgot what happened 2 years ago. Don't forget, we're worried about these people hacking your businesses and hacking you without your consent. But this, you can't even call this a cyber attack because you let them in. You gave them access to your stuff because you did not read the user agreement before you installed that app, which will tell you where that app came from and what they're going to do with it. So just please be careful. But as far as the threat, let's see what else is going on out here in the world.
Officials at Parkview Medical Center say the hospital fell victim to a cyber incident, forcing a number of the hospital's computer systems to shut down. News Channel 13's Dan Beatty has new information on the outage.
Yeah, those computer systems are still down, but the biggest question still remains a mystery to us. Was patient information released or stolen as a result of this potential cyber attack? Last Tuesday, the hospital experienced what they're calling a cyber incident, shutting down a number of IT systems. Since then, hospital staff have been forced to use a paper record system to track and treat their patients, all while continuing to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. Parkview Medical Center would not confirm if their system was hacked, but experts say hospitals have a lot of valuable data, making them prime targets for hackers and cyber attacks.
So the medical record information on their patients and their clients are what the criminals are typically going after.
Rodney Gillette is a certified ethical hacker. He tells me the timing of this potential cyber attack isn't a coincidence.
There is an increased wave of cyber attacks hitting because of COVID. People are not really concerned with security and cybersecurity right now. They're worried about their families. There's a lot of other things on people's minds right now. So cyber criminals know that since you are extra distracted, let's go ahead and hit you with some cyber attacks.
Parkview Medical Center says they cannot confirm whether or not patients' information has been stolen until their investigation is complete. Regardless of the outcome, Gillette believes people need to take note of the cyber threat.
Be careful with the organizations that you deal with that manage your personal information. Ask them how they are protecting your data. You have a right as a consumer of those services to ask how your data is being protected.
Now, IT systems may be down, but Parkview Medical Center officials tell me that their staff is prepared for situations like this so they can continue treating their patients. Reporting in Pueblo, Dan Beatty, KRDO News Channel 13.
So let's talk about that, the ransomware workflow. Rodney, how do I know if I got ransomware? Well, there's a couple things that'll be telltale signs. You walk into your office and you've got an FBI warning on your screen. It's fake, obviously. Or a skull and crossbones or some other weird screen up that says, hey, your information has been locked. We are not going to give it back until you pay us so much money in some kind of cryptocurrency, whatever the flavor of the day is. Excuse me. And there'll usually be a timer associated with that. So you got like 24 to 48 hours to figure this out, or we're going to lock your data forever. Or we'll take it and display it on some website for the whole world to see. So, you know, some people run ethical businesses, some people run unethical businesses or do unethical things. You know, having your information out the street is probably not good. Even if you are, you know, working ethically, you know, your company trade secrets or, you know, some kind of strategic advantage plan that you have over your competitors being leaked out to the world, probably not a good thing. Your file names will change. So, you know, you may have, you know, customer records.xlsx, which is an Excel file. That last extension at the end may change to something else, or there may be something added to the end to that extension. So all your files don't work when you try to open them. The best way to defend yourself against a ransomware attack is to have offsite backups. So for some people, like I said before, you have your backups on an external hard drive connected to the computer that got the ransomware attack. The information on that external hard drive is now encrypted and cannot be used. Let's say you have servers on your same network that the ransomware hit. The way ransomware works is once it's on a computer, it may not flare up immediately. It's going to do some work. So it'll do a network scan to see what other computers, what other servers, you know, how is your network built? What other things can it spread to? And it'll make copies of itself and send it to everything that it can find. And then it will activate itself. And this thing works so quick. Those files will start getting encrypted at an alarming rate. So if you have some type of intrusion prevention or some type of computer security system on your network and tracking your files, it may start to flag that you have a whole bunch of files changing at the same time very rapidly, and that'll be your warning. The offsite backups is the best thing for you to use, though, so make sure you have those. Let's see what else is going on in the world today.
So a lot of companies are stepping up cybersecurity awareness for their employees.
They sure are. In fact, here at Fox 21, owned by Nexstar, all employees actually had to go through a security training, which included to be on the lookout for spoofing email and scamming links.
However, before the training, Fox 21's Carly Moore was actually spoofed herself and is now sharing the message with you. Carly, I replied to the email too.
Yeah, you replied to it, guys. How many times have we done stories on scams? How many times have we explained those red flags? Well, these guys are getting good. And now, I didn't wire any amount of money or buy anything for anyone, so they technically didn't get what they wanted. But because they targeted our staff, we thought this was important to share.
Scams can come from anywhere.
I don't have to trick everyone if I'm a hacker. I just need to get a few people.
Call, text, or email.
Spoofing email is when someone impersonates an email address or a name attached to that email address. So you may receive an email from an individual who you may know, but the email did not actually come from them.
Dan Nesgoda is Fox 21's chief engineer. He's trying to protect our staff from cyber attacks.
It's a social engineering scheme to gain your trust and get you to reveal information that you may not normally.
I was on my way to work on Saturday when I got an email from our boss, Joe Cole. I saw it on my phone. The subject line was request. He asked me to do a task. I replied and said I could help. He is my boss, after all. He asked me to buy some gift cards. I thought it was a little odd, but I replied. The email said he wanted me to buy 10 $100 Google Play gift cards, totaling $1,000. It got more suspicious when he asked me to scratch the back out to reveal the PIN, then attach pictures showing the PIN and email them back. At that point, it was clear something was definitely wrong. Even though my phone said Joe Cole, this was the email. I knew I had been spoofed.
So this particular type of email scam is really easy to spot because if you check the email address, you know it won't match the person that sent it.
But sometimes they can even mask the real email address. That's when you're in big trouble.
The other things to look out for are emails that have like urgent money matters to take care of. You did the right thing by calling the person who supposedly sent that to you.
Multiple staff members also received a similar email.
But it's not only with email, it's also with text messages.
Now our company Nexstar having all of our employees do a cybersecurity awareness training.
It's about teaching employees how to recognize threats on the internet. It's a dangerous place.
Rodney is a cybersecurity consultant and teaches a class every other month at Small Business Development Center called Cybersecurity Simplified. What your small business needs to know.
So a lot of
So that was interesting. The big takeaway from that is the cyber awareness training at least once a year for you and your staff. The cyber landscape is changing rapidly, changing all the time. Annual training is important. Training is important. Knowledge is power. And I really appreciate the National Cybersecurity Center putting together this program to help educate you folks so you don't make mistakes that don't need to be made. So phishing is the email thing. One of the biggest things to look for is the email address. So like you saw in the Fox video, it said Joe Cole, but when they clicked the name, you were able to see the email was like something ridiculous. It wasn't Joe Cole's email. So the reason that those particular attacks are so tricky is when you look at your email on a smartphone, you usually just see the name, you don't see the email address. If you're on your computer using Microsoft Outlook or some type of desktop client, it'll usually show the email address and the name next to each other. So that's why the phone ones are so nasty. So just be careful, look out for the email address. Now, if you get an email from somebody that looks suspicious and it's the correct name and the correct email address, and they have the signature block and all that, a couple things could have happened. One, it could have been an advanced spoofing activity, or the person who allegedly sent you that email, their email has been compromised. So the best thing to do is to let that person know who that email came from. Be like, hey, I got this weird email from you. I didn't open it, but you should let all the people in your contact list know that this email did not come from you and for them not to open the attachment. I just got an email from a very large networking organization here in Colorado Springs yesterday. And it had an attachment that said, hey, it had secure, and it had the person's name. I knew the person's name. It had their correct email address, and it didn't have a signature block on the bottom, but it had a message for me to, it's really important that I send you this information. Open this secure link. And I know this person, and they don't send secure links. So I didn't click the link, but I called her and I was like, hey, let the people know. So she sent the email out. I gave her some instruction on how to check her Microsoft Outlook and her Office 365 system, because I know that's what she's using, to see if there's anybody that had compromised her system. Nobody had, according to what we looked at. So that means somebody did a really hard spoofing activity against the email. And it's not uncommon to see that, especially with organizations that communicate with a lot of people. And this networking organization is pretty big in town. Vishing, that's when Microsoft calls you on the phone, or some other fake company calls you on the phone. And they don't call with accents anymore. You probably won't get those. They'll be very articulate and very convincing, just like me talking to you right now. And they'll say, oh, hey, I'm so sorry you've got these issues on your phone. These are unsolicited phone calls, folks. So if you didn't call Microsoft, it's likely that they won't be calling you to tell you that your computer's messed up. Another thing that's not listed on this that you'll know if you've had some type of compromise or a potential phishing technique is, you're on your web browser and you're Googling, Dr. Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And, you get this other website that pops up and it takes over your whole screen and it's beeping and it says, hey, call this 1-800 number, and it looks super official. And you got a voice talking to you also saying, hey, your computer's been compromised. Don't turn your computer off. It'll damage your files. You'll never get them back. Go ahead and give us a phone call right now. Don't call that number. Okay. For those of you that have been using computers for a long time, you're probably familiar with the blue screen of death. That's when your computer has some kind of weird error. These are Windows computers. And it'll give you a little QR code and it'll tell you there's an error and has a countdown and it'll restart your computer. What you'll never see is a phone number on that blue screen of death. So if you see one of those and it has a phone number, don't call that number. It's fake. It's not real. Call your IT professional or turn your computer off. Smishing, SMS, is your text messages. So around the holiday season, you've probably seen a lot of Amazon text messages saying, hey, you have an Amazon package that's on its way, or it's been delayed. Go ahead and click this link. And when you click the link, it takes you to a fake Amazon page for you to log into. Don't use that. If you order something from Amazon, go straight to your Amazon account yourself and log into your account yourself and see if there's anything wrong with your account. Do that with all your stuff. Any kind of emails asking for money or something urgent, those are typically signs that it's a fake email. Call the person that supposedly sent that to you. Don't wire $30,000 to somebody without calling and verifying it first, okay? And don't call the phone number in the email. Call the person who sent it using the phone number that you have for them. User access control. Everybody doesn't have to be an administrator on the computers that you use. Rodney, what does an administrator mean? As somebody who has the rights to install and do whatever they want to their computer. So the best practice is for you to have an administrator account for your computer and also have a user account that doesn't give you access to install stuff whenever you want. So just in case you click something by accident, it won't have permissions to install it on your computer and infect the rest of your network. And ask other businesses about their security. If you have other business colleagues, ask them, dude, how are you keeping this stuff secure? Come to the NCC and ask for help. That's what we're here for. Let's take a look at some of these fake emails. This one's obviously fake. It's from Jeff Hughes, but that email address, ogwoshiten.jp, that's some Japanese domain. It's got 240 kilograms of gold dole bars. This is what it looks like. It's fake. Don't fall for this. It's like the Nigerian print scheme from years ago. That bbc.com link in the middle is probably not going to take you to bbc.com. It's probably a nasty link to take you somewhere where somebody's going to hijack your computer. So delete this email if you see it. This one makes no sense. I can't even read it. Obvious spam. Don't click any of the links. Just delete it when you see it. This one's a little more tricky because many people are using Office 365. It's a very well-known system for email and all that stuff. So you look at the email where it says it's from Microsoft Office 365 team. So if you look at this on your phone, this will look legit because you won't see that mail to address, that email address that's obviously fake. So make sure you click the name. The hook here says verify now. I mean, imagine if it's April 14th and you're a CPA firm, you got tax day the next day and you get this in your inbox, you're probably going to panic. Oh my gosh, I can't have my email turned off right now. It's not going to be a good deal. Let me go ahead and click verify now. It'll take you to a fake Office 365 page that looks totally legit, and it'll ask you to put in your username and password. So you end up putting your username and password in, and it doesn't work. So what do you end up doing next? You put in every password that you think it might be, and none of them work. But what you've done is given the hackers all the username and password combinations that they can use in other places. Don't do that. Don't click it. If there's something wrong with your Office 365 account, go to portal.office.com and log into your Office 365 account. See if you have a message saying that something's wrong. Don't rely on these emails. This is another one. There's a lot of different ones. This one's fake. dynv6.net is not a Microsoft domain, so that's totally fake. Don't click on these links. It's going to do the same thing to you. This one is interesting, and this is a really old one. Go to Walgreens or some store, grab me a bunch of gift cards, and scratch off the back and send it to me in pictures. That's what they got with the Joe Cole thing with Fox. A lot of your younger employees that are just coming into the workforce, they haven't seen these scams before. They haven't had cybersecurity awareness training before. Likely, many of you who are on this call and looking at this have seen or heard of these things before, but a lot of these folks have not. So it's really important that you make sure they understand what these threats are and to never go buy something without them asking you first. Because they may get an email from you as the boss and they want to be a good employee and impress you. So they will go to Walgreens, they'll spend that money and bring you the gift cards back. And you'd be like, I didn't actually go get the gift cards. So make sure people know about this threat. What else is going on, Rodney? What else is going on? Let's take a look.
And we begin at 5 with a still developing story in Oldsmar, where there's been a cyber attack on the city's water supply. Investigators say someone took over a computer that controls the chemicals in the water and tried to poison it. Fox 13's Dan Maddox joins us now live. And Dan, this sounds pretty scary.
Yeah, Cynthia, we were talking about the water supply here for 15,000 people in Oldsmar. The operator here at the plant actually saw the computer screen, the mouse move across the computer screen when he took action.
But if you put that amount of that substance in the drinking water, it's not a good thing.
It happened just before Super Bowl weekend. Sheriff Bob Gualtieri says someone hacked into the computer system at the Oldsmar water treatment plant and raised the levels of sodium hydroxide, a chemical also called lye used to treat water. Too much of it can be dangerous. A worker at the plant saw it happening and was able to stop it.
The protocols that we have in place, the monitoring protocols, they work. That's the good news.
Investigators say someone first hacked into the system around 8 a.m. Friday. The plant operator at first didn't think anything of it because his supervisors frequently accessed the system remotely. But when it happened again later that afternoon, the operator noticed the hacker push the sodium hydroxide levels to a toxic level. That operator immediately pushed the level of that chemical back down.
It's not just an accident when you're taking it from 100 parts per million to 11,100 parts per million with a caustic substance. So it's potentially serious.
Officials say the nearly 15,000 people who live in Oldsmar were never in any danger, even if the operator hadn't noticed.
Even had they not caught them, there's redundancies that have alarms in the system that would have caught the change in the pH level.
It's unclear where this attack came from, whether foreign or domestic, a warning to other cities and their security protocols.
It's not necessarily limited to just water supply systems. It could be anything. It could be sewer systems. It could be a whole variety of things. It could really be problematic.
Sheriff Uncle Terry, who you just heard from there, says they do have a few leads in this investigation, but Cynthia, he says it's going to be very difficult. They do have their forensics unit on it, and also the FBI and Secret Service. They're also working this as well.
I sure hope they get a break in that case, because it makes you think, I mean, could it happen again? You know, and that's what's really troubling about
scary
this.
Stuff.
It is. Thank you, Dan.
Yes, it can happen again. Yes, it's scary stuff. Lessons learned. Here's how that cyber attack went down. They were using TeamViewer. It's a popular program to be able to remote control one computer from another. But the default setup for TeamViewer, the password is very, very simple. And there's options in there for you to like decrease the security so you can just hop into any computer without having to be challenged by passwords or anything else. They had this set up in the simplest way possible so that they don't have to work so hard to get into the computer. It's the first problem. Second problem, weak passwords. Password was weak. Third problem, they were using Windows 7 on that computer. Windows 7 is what's called end of life by Microsoft. They stopped supporting it a few years back. So if you are somebody who's using Windows 7 or Windows Vista or Windows XP, you're wrong. You should not be using those operating systems. They're no longer supported by Microsoft, and they are a hacker's playground. So those three things are a problem. Critical infrastructure is a target for hackers because of these weak security protocols that are in place. You saw it with Colonial Pipeline not too long ago last year. You see it with this water problem here in Florida. You have to protect your systems better. One of the ways you know that somebody may have compromised your computer, if your mouse is moving around on the screen and things are typing, it might be a compromise, but not always. If you're in an office where everybody has wireless keyboards and mice, some of those signals can get crossed, and the person on the other side of the wall may be moving their mouse, and then your mouse will move as well. So how do you fix that? Use wired keyboards and mice. That's a suggestion. The other thing, for companies like mine, we have an incredible amount of power over people's businesses because we need that technology to remote access your computer in order to take care of you, in order to manage you. But I have 16 certifications and a bachelor's degree and have done cybersecurity for the Department of Defense. So I am worthy and well qualified to do this work and use these tools. Do not let somebody have that kind of access to your business that does not have the expertise or the credentials to do that work. Do not get somebody that knows computers remote access to your computer systems. This is not a cheap toilet paper buying experience. When you are looking for somebody to help you with this type of stuff, you're going to have to pay money for the right people to do this work. Now, we are at the 30-minute mark, and I'm supposed to be able to have you ask some questions. So if we've got some questions, I'm happy to answer them at this time. Any question? And if you're ever looking for me, you can find me at the National Cybersecurity Center. They know where to find me, or the Pikes Peak SBDC. You can call and ask for me as well and get a free consultation with me through that program. Any questions? You can take yourself off mute and ask.
Looks like we don't have any questions coming in through the chat there, Rodney. So I think we'll close it up here. If anyone does have questions afterwards, we'll provide Rodney's email address in the email that we send out with our recording of the presentation as well as the slides. So you can reach out to him if you have any further questions or want to seek out some advice from the expert himself. So thank you everyone for joining today. Just some quick housekeeping. I will send out that email with the recording to everyone who attended today. And please share this out with everyone in your network. So we're going to ramp up the Morning Byte of Cyber series starting in June. We'll have it on the 3rd and 4th Thursday of every month going forward. We'll have a variety of topics, special topics like this, things that are a little more specific to Colorado laws, Colorado grants, as well as some workforce development topics as well. So we look forward to seeing you here in the future, and I hope everyone has a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rodney. Take care, everybody.
Welcome.